Welcome, everyone. I'd like to call to order the Finance Committee meeting of the Dutchess County LDC. Marilyn, if you could take the roll call, please.
Kathy Bauer,
Here.
Don Tagliano,
Here.
Jamie Pacone.
Here.
Here. Okay, so first order on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the March 10th, 2021 Finance Committee meeting. Does anyone have any changes that they need to bring to attention? No? Okay, with that, if somebody would like to make a motion to approve the minutes from March 10th, 2021?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Don.
Second.
Thank you, Jamie. Marilyn, if you could take the approval vote, please.
Kathy Bauer,
Approved?
Don Tagliano,
Approved.
Jamie Pacone.
Approve.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is the 2022 proposed budget for the LDC. Sarah, are you going to take this?
Yes, I'll
Okay.
take this. So for the end of year, I'll start with the end of year estimate for 2021. We are expecting an administrative fee close to what was projected for the year of $311,623. These are the closing fees that we expect from that we receive from Trinity Pauling, Anderson at Millbrook, and then the culinary. Those four projects. The application fees are slightly higher than projected because we did increase our fee schedule earlier this year. So we had collected a little bit more in application fees, compliance fees. That is new, and we'll have no projects subject to compliance fee this year. The Dutchess County line item 4, we have projected $100,000 more in our county contract. That reflects the additional money that we expect to receive from the legislature as part of the American Relief Funding. I will just put a note here that we are still in negotiation with the county on how to reflect that $300,000 total that we are supposed to get over the next 2 years. But for now, for our purposes, I have reflected that $100,000 because I do expect to expend $100,000 in 2021. The line item 5, the IDA gives the LDC $150,000 annually. Private sector, that is sponsorship money that we have received for the BEAs. We are still collecting sponsorship funds for the BEAs, despite it going virtual. I had announced it at the last board meeting that we were going to do that and then have a spring event, in-person networking event for the spring. So that $32,000 represents the money that we have collected so far for that. The WIB is the rent that they pay us to be in the space. The projected is slightly higher because they didn't actually sign the contract to pay us the new amount until earlier part of 2021. So that increased payment reflects the payment they should have paid us in 2020.
Okay.
So we received that in 2021. Our interest amount is projected to be much less than what was originally projected last year, from 10,000 to 4,000. Going down into expenditures, we do expect our spending to remain fairly consistent with what was projected. Where we're finding some slight increases is, or what I would of significance would be the marketing has been increased. Line item 20, marketing, where we had projected 45,000. Now we're expecting at the year end 2021, 140,000. that is, again, funds that we're going to use for the ARP money is reflected in that 140,000.
That's the matching expense for the revenue coming in.
Yes, that's the matching expense for the revenue coming in. Payroll is expected to be a little bit higher because we have a little bit of overlap with Marilyn and Jane, but really the most of it is that we're hiring a part-time marketing assistant to help us with those programs that we are bringing on board, but their salary is actually covered under that ARP, the income that we're getting, so. The rest of the expenses we expect to be fairly close to what was projected. And we are expecting a decrease in our expenses from what was projected, from 312,000 approximately to about 189,000.
I'm sorry, what?
So
Oh,
we have
okay.
projected
Okay, all
a
right.
decrease of,
I got it.
yeah.
Yep, okay.
And a good portion of that is the 135,000 for the LDC loan reserve fund that did not materialize, so
Okay.
that's a.
One question I have is the event.
Yes.
You have 20,000 on line 17.
Yes.
Now, but we're doing it virtual. Is that for the video and whatever?
Correct.
Okay, all right,
So it's for the video, it's for the awards.
okay. Does anybody have any other questions on the year-end numbers?
Yes, Sarah, could you speak to the professional service contracts on line 29? It's broken out below the total of the income and expenses.
I think it means 31.
Line 30?
He's talking about the
30,
bottom.
30, 31. Oh, okay.
Oh, okay, so, yeah, so it's 31 on the detail.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And when you itemize it, it says 29, so 30.
yeah, sorry, I'm sorry. So 31 is, the LDC currently has 2 professional service contracts. One is our marketing contract with DCI, projected to be around $200,000. And then the other one is with the Women's Enterprise Development Center, which provides entrepreneurial support services, and that is at $15,000.
Okay, and the 40,000 where it says accelerated TBD, what exactly is that again? Is that the allocation of the ARP fund?
Correct, for 2022.
Okay,
So again, that is a projection because we haven't RFP'd for that yet.
okay.
Okay,
Then you have travel and meeting, estimated end of year, 5,000, next year you're saying 10,000.
yep.
Is there any commentary on that?
Yes, so we expect for next year that we'll be able to travel a little bit more to our trade shows.
Okay. All right,
Okay,
thank you.
okay. Then I'm just gonna go briefly through the 2022 proposed budget. So, just at the top, the admin fees is again just projected on 3 projects. Historically, the idea, if you average it out for the past 5 years, we do about 3 projects a year. This year the LDC rather. So this is on 3 projects from the LDC. Again, the application fee for 3 projects is $3,000. And then the compliance fee, we do expect 2 projects to be subject to the compliance fee. So that's that we have $500 per project is the compliance fee. So with 2 projects, that equals $1,000. For Dutchess County, we submitted a request for the full amount that we have typically, our contract with the county has been, which was at $451,000. The past 2 years, we have foregone that amount. And then this year, we are receiving an austerity budget of $338,000. Before next year, I requested a $451,000. I will not know whether that $451,000 is approved until the county approves their budget, which is going to be, and Don, please correct me if I'm wrong, it will be December.
Yeah, that's when the final budget will be voted on, adopted, and promulgated. The budget process has already begun for the county.
Yeah.
And I believe we're going to have the budget meetings that we normally have on the floor of the legislature beginning in early November.
So, yeah. So I'm being optimistic and hoping that we get the full 451. And then the 200,000 to bring it to 651 is again the ARP monies for additional programming
I thought that was paid over 3 years?
over 2 years.
Over 2 years,
Over
okay.
2 years. So 100,000 of that will be spent before the end of this year, and the remaining 200,000 will be spent next year. And that is for a entrepreneurship startup accelerator program. And then the other one is a marketing talent attraction program. Just going down the 22 budget, again, we expect the IDA's contribution as part of the professional service contract to remain the same at 150,000. Private sector, because we are going to actually hold 3 events next year. The networking event in the spring, an accelerator related event, as well as the BEAs. We have conservatively estimated private sector contributions at 70,000. It is lower than we typically years past, but we do think that some companies are still going to struggle with sponsorship. So we have conservatively estimated that 70,000.
And correct me if I'm wrong, some of the spring sponsorship we're actually recognizing now because they're going to get dual sponsorship at both events. Because the 32,000 that we've already collected aren't some of those sponsors also going to be technically sponsors at the spring event? So we won't really realize any additional income from them.
Well, we're kind of working on how we're going to divide
Okay.
that up. Yes, it's an
Okay.
issue and we're still working on.
Okay.
Yeah, but yes, but we're thinking that part of that is going to go because it will be, used for that event.
Okay.
So. Again, the 30,000 is based on the contract on the rent that we expect from the Workforce Investment Board. And then we have interest projected at $5,000. Okay, any questions about the revenue in 2022? No, okay. Going down on expenditures, line 10, again, that 12,900 is the amount that is part of the RBT contract. Board and committee is kept stable at our traditional $1,000. I would say items of significance where there is a budget change is in dues and publications, line item 13 is projected to be slightly higher, again, as a result of that cost benefit analysis program that we'll have to look for. going down to events, line item 17, again, projected higher because we are expecting to run 3 events next year. So that is higher. The marketing is slightly higher to account for the talent attraction program that we will be embarking on. And then line item 23, I am proposing a increase in staff salary by 5% in 2022. It is slightly higher than our traditional 3%. The reasoning behind that is twofold. One is last year, the board decided to hold staff salaries stable at 2020 salary levels because we were unsure with the impact of COVID. And so we decided to keep that stable. And then in addition to that, both IDA and LDC have done well with the deals and the administrative fees that we received in 2021. So I am proposing an increase of 5% in staff salary for 2022.
Also in that 23 line item is the part-time marketing person, which is covered by the county fees for the.
Yes. Items 25 and 26, or 24 and 25. I'm sorry.
Excuse me, Sarah.
Yes.
And Chairperson Bauer. So when we speak about item number 23, payroll, this is just a budget. This isn't anything that's promulgated by an adoption of the budget. That'll be further promulgated when the full board discusses it. Is that correct?
This is Marilyn speaking. This committee will discuss and make any changes they would like to this recommended budget. And then the committee votes on whether or not to move it to the full board for approval.
But by adoption of the budget, we're not committing the entire board to a 5% pay increase until it's fully vetted through the personnel committee, I believe, with the annual evaluations. Is that accurate? I mean, this is just a budget. This isn't a promulgated 5% increase because I don't think the board has had the opportunity or the personnel committee has had the opportunity to do a strict evaluation on.
Yeah, that's correct.
You are correct. Yes, you are correct. So, but yeah,
I'm just, laying it out there that we're just, by reviewing the budget, we're providing for a 5% increase as you documented and explained. But again, it's just the budget. It doesn't necessarily mean that everybody, the employees are, by us having this meeting, they're all getting a raise next year.
correct. Correct. So, the items following 24 and 25 is just a direct result of the increase projected or for payroll. The other items is postage. We just projected a little bit more, again, because we're holding three events and we expect to experience some increased postage. Printing, we've kept that the same as years past of like the 2021. We don't expect a whole lot of, we don't send any.
It's just letterhead.
It's just letterhead. We don't do a lot of paper invitations. So with that, the professional service item number 31, we addressed that earlier. That includes that 40,000 for accelerator services that we expect to spend in 2022. That's what accounts for the difference between 2021 and 2022. And then for trade show and travel and meeting, we expect that we will be able to travel more to trade shows. So that is why travel and meeting has been increased. I will note that it is actually lower than pre-COVID numbers, but we don't expect, while we're seeing an opening of more of these trade shows happening in person, we don't expect all of them to suddenly, have in-person trade shows in 2022.
Thank you, Sarah. Does anybody have any other questions or comments about the 2022 proposed budget? Okay, with that, I'd like to make a recommendation
Oh,
to.
I'm
Yes.
sorry. I'm just going to go the 5-year projection
Oh,
real
sorry.
quick.
Yeah.
So the 5-year projection, much like the, because we can't tell the future, is, and as much as we'd like to, is just years 23, 24, 25 is a 3% increase in both the expense and revenue.
There's a marking on this 5-year budget filing where it says adopted on 23, 24, and 25.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
All right.
change the wording.
Thank you.
And when you say Paris 5-year budget filing, this is what gets submitted to the New York State Bureau, whatever it is.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. So I would like to make a recommendation to present the proposed budget for 2022 and with the subsequent 5-year projections to the full board at the October meeting. Would somebody like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the recommendation.
Thank you, Jamie.
And I'll second it.
Thank you, Don. Marilyn, if you would take this one.
Jamie Pacone,
Approve.
Don Sagliano,
Approved.
Kathy Bauer.
Approved. And if we have any old business,
So no old business?
any new business?
Just, I want to recognize that Jane Dendham is our new CFO and will be taking over Marilyn's position, and we welcome her.
Thank you.
Welcome, welcome to the.
Thank you.
And with that, I'd like to close the meeting for the Dutchess County LDC.
Okay, good. Have a good day.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
There, have a nice weekend. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah,
You
have a
too.
good weekend.
Generally, Jasmine is at.